Ew. Oh, the microphones? Okay, we haven't started. Thank you. Microphones need to be on.
Microphone.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bruselian?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Present.
Commissioner Magrin is not here. Commissioner Perrion?
Present.
Commissioner Submergent?
Present.
Ex officio Alfred? Or I'm sorry, Malin? No. The old script. Okay, Commission or ex officio Garabedian?
Here.
And Delanian is absent.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay. Item 1B, report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the May 13, 2019 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on May 9, 2019. Item 2, introductions and presentations. Item 2A, presentation by Glendale Youth Alliance Executive Director, Garina Gregorian.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
You've got a great group.
Excuse me?
You have a great group.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Karina Gregorian. I'm the Executive Director of the Glendale Youth Alliance. The Glendale Youth Alliance is actually a nonprofit organization that operates within the city of Glendale. We're housed under the Community Services and Parks Department, and we're located at the Verdugo Job Center right here in South Glendale. Right. So Glendale Youth Alliance was established in 1993. It started out as a very small program serving 30 youth per year. Community leaders actually asked gang members what would keep them off the streets, and they responded, jobs. So our community leaders were very inspired by this answer and started the Glendale Youth Alliance to find a productive place for youth to go to develop their skills and be productive members of our community. So as I mentioned, we started as a small program serving 30 youth per year. Over the years, we have evolved to be a full service organization operating 5 programs serving 350 to 450 youth per year. We have served over 10,500 youth in the past 26 years. And I actually started in GYA as a youth participant at the age of 14 doing brush clearance. So this program is very dear and near to my heart. I came back while I was in college as a staff member, and I've been with GYA ever since. Next slide, please. So the mission of the Glendale Youth Alliance is to provide, coordinate, and support youth employment activities, efforts, and programs that have a positive impact on local youth. GYA makes a special effort in assisting youth with further barriers to employment, so we give priority to youth that are foster youth, youth with disabilities, youth that are on the verge of homelessness, extremely low-income youth. GYA not only provides employment opportunities, but comprehensive services to meet their human needs. When you're working with youth, you have to address all of the issues, whether it's family issues, it's food, it's health related. So we work very closely with a lot of the community agencies to link the youth to the resources that they need. GYA currently operates 5 programs for youth ages 14 to 24. So annually we serve over 400 youth. We have 2 revenue generating programs, which are very unique. The youth are hired by one of the programs, Glendale Youth Employment Partnership. Youth are hired by private property owners or city departments to do brush clearance and weed abatement, and we bill the customer for the youth wages. All of the funding or revenue that's generated through the program goes back into paying for youth wages and hiring additional kids. Our Glendale Resource for Employment and Training is very similar to an employment agency. So if you have a need, you have someone out on maternity leave, or you need additional assistance in your office and your business, you can contact us. We'll send over a few candidates. You can interview them, whoever you feel is the right fit. They can start working right away. We process payroll, we cover liability, workers' comp, and we bill twice a month for the youth wages. Again, all of the revenue that's generated goes back into paying for the youth wages, operational costs, and employing more youth. We also have several grant-funded programs. Our TEAM program, which is federally funded, focuses on serving high school seniors. So we provide paid work experience, 180 hours per year. So the high school seniors will go to school. After school, they'll have an opportunity to work in a job based on their career interests. And we also provide them scholarship opportunities and other resources. Employment Incentive Program is for youth ages 18 to 24. These are youth that are not in school and not working currently. So we want to help them find their path within the workforce. Goal of that program is actually to get hired in permanent employment at the end of our grant program. And we have an 85% success rate. So these are youth that are not in school, not working, and by the time they exit our program, most of them are employed in permanent employment. Our Summer Youth Employment Program is our signature program. That's when we serve the most youth. Through our LA County contract, we were able to serve 162 youth last summer. LA County Probation, 30 youth. Our Summer Brush Program, which is the youngest, the 14, 15, 16-year-olds that are clearing brush on the public hillsides to prevent fires. We served 45 youth. And last year, for the first time, we received funding to operate the Summer Training Employment Program for students with disabilities. So we were able to serve 74 youth that had various disabilities. And for most of these youth, it was their first job. This is a picture of our Summer Brush participants. We had 45 participants, and most of whom this was their first job, first paycheck that they earned. Next slide, please. GYA was actually, we were very involved in Rosie Camp. I know Rosie Camp is a commission-sponsored program. The first few classes were actually GYA participants. And even the instructor, Kathy Pumetti, was a GYA staff member who led the charge, which is a terrific program. So we were honored to be part of that. Some of the other services that we provide, all of the kids that come into our program receive comprehensive case management. They receive paid work experience. They receive training, some of which are through LACC and Glendale Community College. The high school seniors, or the youth that continue their education, they receive scholarships. In the past 17 years, we've been able to provide 104 scholarships to graduating seniors. We also connect them to supportive services such as bus tokens, work attire, mental health assessment workshops, counseling that we provide, referrals to other resources through the community, and additional supportive services such as eye exam, eyeglasses, hotel vouchers, food gift cards, you name it. Anything that they have a need for. We've even assisted with driving licenses and so forth. So the demographics that we serve, of the 393 grant youth that we served in 1819, over 135 were CalWORKs recipients. So their family is in poverty, they're receiving government assistance from LA County. We had 12 foster youth, 86 youth with disabilities, 9 pregnant or parenting youth, 15 youth that are on probation, 11 homeless youth, 72 youth that were English was a second language for them, and we served 18 high school dropouts. We have a small and mighty team of passionate staff members. We're a total of 9. And we also have an independent board of directors. I believe Dr. Eileen Magrin's on the commission as well. She's one of our board members. We work very closely with the Glendale Unified School District as well. So currently we have 17 board members that serve on our board and guide the direction of the organization. Also, they lead fundraising efforts, so we're able to provide more supportive services and provide more opportunities for the youth of our community. We do have our 26th annual Luncheon and Awards Ceremony coming up October 23rd. I welcome all of you to attend. And some of the other fundraisers we have had have been the golf tournament. We've had the 25th anniversary gala and awards ceremony last year. We've done a roast of the fire chief and so on and so forth. Some of our accomplishments for the 2018-19 program year: 468 youth received paid work experience at over 150 different work sites. So we're talking about accounting firms, law firms, hospital, retail stores, different restaurants within the city of Glendale. City of Glendale has hosted many of our youth. 85 youth were hired in permanent positions. All of the youth, 100%, received mentorship, guidance, and training. 99% completed their services within our program. Over 350 youth received pre-employment training, of which 28 youth completed a 24-hour hospitality certification training. 149 youth received supportive services, and 1 GYA youth this past year received a $5,000 scholarship through the gas company, one of our major partners. One of the programs I mentioned, the STEPS program for students with disabilities. Last year was the first year we got funded for this. It was a competitive grant that we applied for. 105 youth applied to be in that program. The goal was to serve 60 youth. We were able to bring on 73 youth in the program, and 70 of the youth actually successfully completed the program, which included 9 hours of work readiness training and 230 hours of work experience. They were placed in 33 different businesses, and 15 youth were hired in permanent employment, mostly in retail. 40 youth went back to school, and 7 youth transferred to our year-round federally funded programs. You can see this was the first cohort last year. We had a lot of successes. For most of these kids, it was their first time working and earning money. So it was a really valuable experience for them because they got to learn what they like and what they don't like. We had some kids that were not very vocal. So by the end of the program, they gained confidence. They became more vocal. Their parents saw a difference in them. We got so many positive remarks from the worksite supervisors. It was really, truly a meaningful experience for everyone involved, the youth, the worksite supervisors, as well as staff. We were touched by these students. We're excited to announce that we did receive funding this year as well, our second consecutive year. Last year we were able to serve 60 youth. This year we received an additional 100,000, so we're able to serve 80 youth. So we're very excited about that. We are accepting applications. So anyone who is interested can come to the Verdugo Job Center. Glendale Youth Alliance is on the 2nd floor. You're more than welcome to apply. Or if you know anyone that would be interested, please send them over. Also in 2008, Glendale Youth Alliance was selected as Nonprofit of the Year by Senator Portantino's office. So we got to go to Sacramento, and it was a huge honor for us. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Yes.
It was my first time actually hearing about this, and it's actually awesome. Is my mic on? Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering, regarding the mentors for each student or like individual that comes in, is it based on their liking of like their occupation? So if they're into, I guess, law or like politics, do they get a mentor who's experienced in that occupation, or is it just general mentors?
Yes. So when the students come into our program, we process all of their paperwork, and each one of our case managers work with the youth. So depending on their career interests, we'll place them at a work site that's in line with their career. So if they're interested in law, we'll place them at a law firm. If they want to be an accountant, we'll place them at an accounting firm. Or, if they want to pursue a career in the medical field, we'll place them in the hospital. So the worksite supervisors are usually the one that mentor the youth as they're working at their place of business.
That's awesome. And usually how long does it take till one student, like for example, if an individual comes in, not as prepared as others, how long do you think is the range until they're ready to actually go into the workforce that they're interested in?
So as long as they qualify for the program, and some of the programs are grant-based, so there's strict guidelines, qualification guidelines. So as long as the youth qualify for the grant, we'll bring them in, we'll case manage them, we'll provide work readiness training, and then right away we start looking for work sites. So it just depends. Sometimes it can be very quick, within a matter of 2-3 weeks. Sometimes it can take a little bit over a month. So,
awesome. Thank you so much.
thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for the work you're doing. It's really very impressive.
Thank you.
I was curious as far as how is this word put out there? I know it's at the job center. Do you advertise this anywhere else?
We do. We work very closely with the school districts, so we go on campus. We're at all the job fairs, community fairs. We've been featured on GTV6, the City Connection, the Community Services and Parks newsletter. So any opportunity we get, we try to promote our programs.
And then, thank you. My second question would be, I'm just curious, from all the applications, do you end up turning any away? How many apply? How many get in?
We do. Unfortunately, we have a lot of interest for the program, and we have limited slots depending on funding. So just for the summer program, we might get 500, 700 applications, and we're able to serve a little bit over 200 youth. So we serve based on first come, first serve, and whoever meets the priority guidelines. So we do turn away quite a few youth. But we do have other resources as well, so we try to link them to other programs within the community.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you again for a great presentation. It was very, very informative. How much do they, I'm just curious, per hour pay for them? Does you have a pay range depending on what they do, or how does that work?
It depends on the contract. Any youth that's hired through our LA County contract gets paid $13.25 now. As of July 1, it'll be $14.25 because LA County's on the fast track to hit the $15 minimum wage. So by 2020, any youth working in LA County or through a contract with LA County will get paid $15 an hour. But the rest of the youth do receive minimum wage, which is $12 an hour currently.
Okay, so the LA County is the full-time, lengthy position versus the summer program?
No, it's actually the summer program.
Oh, it's the summer
Yes.
program. Okay. And when does it start and when does it end?
We started accepting applications for the summer program March 1st.
Oh, okay.
The program actually starts the first week of July. And by mid-August, most of the kids are done and they go back to
They
school.
go back to school.
Yes.
So it's a 6-week
Pretty much, yes.
program. I think you kind of answered where the private property owners would call if they needed help, around the house or at their office. So you act as a staffing agency for.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Grant-based program is okay. So some of the positions are grant-based.
Yes.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Can you give us examples of the grant-based programs?
Sure.
Okay.
So the revenue-generating programs that I mentioned, GYEP and Glendale Resources for Employment, the youth are actually hired through the City of Glendale.
Oh.
So they're City of Glendale hourly employees, but they're placed out through our program. So all of their wages are paid through our GYA programs and the revenue that's generated through these programs. But they can stay on board for up to a year. Depending on some cases, some of the youth have stayed on board for 3 years. So by that point, they have quite the experience to get hired. And we have quite a few youth that started out in temporary positions within the city of Glendale in different departments, and now they're full-time salary employees because opportunities opened up, staff members ended up leaving, and they were fully trained employees, so they pretty much walked into the position, interviewed, and have grown with the organization. The rest of the grants, or the rest of the programs that are listed are all grant-based, so they're temporary positions. The employment incentive program for the 18 to 24-year-olds, those youth do end up getting hired in permanent employment because that's the goal of the program.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question.
Oh, yes, sorry.
First of all, I want to thank you because I'm a big fan of GYA. I believe that it's one of our local nonprofits that really is worth its weight in gold. In my experience, the two catch-22s that trap people into perpetual poverty is I need money to get an education, I need education to make money, I need a job to get experience, I need experience to get a job. And to bridge that gap for the experience, whenever young people ask me, what should I do, what's the key to success, I always say as early as possible, volunteer, intern, as much as possible in the areas that you are interested in, and also things that you might not be interested in, because imagine if Jimi Hendrix never came across a guitar. We would never have him. One of the questions that I have is, if you know, how similar or different is it to the BEST program in Burbank?
The BEST program is very similar to ours, except they pick the cream of the crop. So it's more of the students that are doing well in school that have proven to be outstanding citizens, whereas our programs focus on the low-income, the disadvantaged youth. I mean, within our group, too, we have a lot of shining stars, but our target isn't the cream of the crop students. It's more the disadvantaged youth.
And in my time working in the California State Legislature, we had many students from the BEST program, but I didn't come across many from the Glendale Youth Alliance. I was wondering if that's a coincidence or by design.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Item 3, oral comment. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report. There are no guest speaker cards. Item 4, consent items. Item 4A, approval of the minutes of the special commission meeting held on February 27, 2019.
Chair Burns, members of the commission, before you take a vote on this item, we have 2 commissioners present who attended the last meeting and 2 who did not. So of those who didn't attend, if you can attest that you watched the meeting and you can attest to the accuracy of the minutes, then you're welcome to vote, or we can hold this over till the next meeting. It's completely up to you.
I watched it.
I watched it.
So then we can take a vote. Thank you so much. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to pass the minutes. I approve the minutes.
I'll second.
No.
Thank you.
Need a second? Do we need a second for that?
Commissioner Busalian?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Perrion?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmergen?
Yes.
Item 5, business agenda. Item 5A, action items. Under 5A, Item 1, establishment of ad hoc committees to support the 2019 to 2022 Commission on the Status of Women's Strategic Plan. Item 1A, motion providing direction on ad hoc committees.
Chair Burns, members of the commission, may I provide you with a brief report on this item?
Please do.
So this item was carried over from the last meeting of the commission to consider establishing ad hoc committees and assigning commissioners to each ad hoc committee now that the commission's 1922 strategic plan is in place. So the ad hoc committees allow commissioners to work in between the quarterly meetings with staff on specific goals for the commission, and commissioners can provide updates at each of these quarterly meetings on the work of these ad hocs and provide updates on progress. Staff does recommend that no more than 1 to 2 members of the commission sit on each ad hoc to avoid Brown Act complications, but that doesn't preclude the ex officios from sitting on them. They don't count as that 1 to 2 since they are not voting members. These ad hoc committees are temporary and the commission can sunset them at any time. If at any time the need arises for another ad hoc committee to be established to address a specific project or issue, certainly that can be brought up, and usually we keep an ad hoc item on the agenda so that commissioners can provide updates. And so the 3 ad hoc committees that have been recommended by staff to support the strategic aims of the commission are outlined in the report that you have there. Ad hoc committee 1 would be to evaluate and assess, and this is based on strategic aim 1. This committee's goals would be to assess issues and needs confronting all women and girls in Glendale, evaluate and identify gaps in the existing services and resources, and recommend and support programs that further the goals and mission of the commission. So the members of this committee would work with staff to identify existing resources and increase access to those resources for the women and girls who need them. Ad hoc Committee 2, Communication and Education, would be based on Strategic Aim 3. So this committee's goals would be to increase the level of knowledge in the community regarding women and girls issues and the well-being of women in the community, maximize awareness of services and resources available for both women and girls, and work with city agencies to publicize the commission's work as it relates to the status and well-being and prosperity of women and girls in Glendale. And so this committee would work to identify community groups and organizations to provide educational presentations at the quarterly meeting. So setting up the speakers for each of our meetings would be one of the things that this committee would do. And this committee would also work to educate the community about its work through the city's website. The commission has a page on the website and can work to update that page and, suggest things to be putting on that page. And this committee also makes informational materials on issues relevant to women and girls available at city and community venues. And this committee could work to evaluate and advise where materials should be distributed, such as the yellow resource guide that the commission has and some of the other publications. And then the final ad hoc committee, number 3, would be community partnerships and outreach, and this is based on strategic aim 4. So this committee would review existing partnerships and identify potential new partnerships, as well as work to build alliances and network with other organizations to further the goals and mission of the commission. So members of this committee would review the CSW's collaborations within the community, including city departments and commissions, community-based organizations and service organizations, educational institutions, basically to identify and solicit interested stakeholders to partner with the commission in providing any education and access and anything that has to do with representing women in the community. As you can see, an ad hoc committee has not been proposed for strategic aim 2, which is policy development, because that does come to the entire commission. As you can see, is the second item in this report is legislative review. And that concludes my report. I can help answer any questions. I do know that ex officio Delanian, who is ill, had expressed interest in ad hoc committee 1. But other than that, I leave it to all of you for discussion. Thank you.
I think this item is open for discussion.
If anyone would like to express interest in sitting on any of the ad hocs.
I'm sorry, how do we go about this? Do we first express interest, or do we talk about each one of them and see who wants to volunteer on what? What's the protocol on this?
Well, there's a
I'm
couple
not sure.
things we can do here, Commissioner Perry and members of the commission. We can first make sure you're okay with the 3 different ad hocs that we have set up, and then just discuss amongst yourselves, express interest, and see if we can come to some sort of easy consensus as to who would like to sit on which ad hoc.
Okay.
This has been discussed before,
We,
as I recall.
Chair Burns, we did have this item at the last meeting, but there was no, commissioners didn't engage in expressing which committees they would sit on, so we just tabled it and brought it back for this meeting. So this would be the first discussion that the commission is having regarding the ad hocs.
I'll begin. I am interested in Committee 3, community partnerships and outreach.
Same here.
Eileen Magrin's going to get 2 or 3 of them. I ask her. Susan?
I'm interested in the evaluate and assess.
Okay.
I think the evaluate and assess would be what my interest, where my interest comes in also. But I want to ask a question regarding the fact that we didn't pull in number 2. Was it 2 that we didn't pull in?
From the strategic plan?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, policy
The
development,
policy.
advocacy, and advising.
Ms. Powers,
Yes, ma'am.
is that open for everyone? This commission is policy driven. So it would seem when we took 2 out, this should be something that all of our commissioners should be involved in, obviously at a meeting.
Yes.
But is that the way that's going to look?
The way we had it previously, Chair Burns, to try to answer the question, the way we had it done previously under the last strategic plan as well, the ad hocs that we had, was that the policy decisions just come directly to this commission based on the legislative platform that you have established. And this commission just at Brown acted meetings makes those decisions. If you would like to establish a policy ad hoc that would work with staff to put together, for example, the report you see, which is item 2, that's certainly something that is open for discussion and consideration by the commission.
That would
answer
not
it?
be my desire. That would be just my own personal non-desire, but perhaps other commissioners would like that. That sounds like it's going to take 2 or 3 years. But I think it's important that we all look at the policy part of this commission.
And certainly those policy, the feedback can be brought directly to staff. It can be brought up, things can be brought up here if you want to look at something specifically, and it can be agendized for future meetings and discussed. Or it can go through an ad hoc if you want to establish an ad hoc.
Well, we've also got a good example right here as to the policies that we're looking at right now.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, before continuing, if no one's interested in 2, I can go for that one. But if we need like a person on each ad hoc, so I wouldn't mind taking initiative for ad hoc 2, committee 2.
Okay, thank you. And we can add, unless there's someone else at this time who wants to join ad hoc committee 2, we could add Commissioner Magrin to that ad hoc and have her work with staff and with ex officio Garapetian on that one.
That's fine by me.
Certainly, it can be 1 or 2. It doesn't have to be 2 for each one.
Are we still looking at policy?
Chair Burns, I haven't heard anyone else mention the policy. We don't have a policy ad hoc committee at this time. Policy comes to all of you for all of your consideration at these meetings. Staff just works, I work based off of the legislative platform that the commission has adopted to bring legislative bills to you all that fit your platform. If there is a commissioner who wants to sit on a policy committee and work on that with staff, that's certainly something that we can do. We can establish another ad hoc committee.
I don't think we need another ad hoc committee because the 5 of us receive what staff receives.
Then we're good. We should be good.
I think that we could leave that without
Yeah.
having an ad hoc committee.
Thank you. So at this time, I'll just review what I've heard and what we've written down. So for ad hoc committee 1, which is evaluate and assess, we have Commissioner Brusalian, Chair Burns, and ex officio Delanian. For ad hoc committee 2, communication and education, we have Vice Chair Magrin and ex officio Garabetian. Ad hoc committee 3, community partnerships and outreach, we have Commissioners Samerjian and Perrion. Does that sound?
Yes.
Okay. So if someone would like to make a motion.
I'm sorry, maybe I
Yes.
missed something. Do we have an ex officio on ad hoc committee number 3?
We do not.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
We don't have to,
We
but
don't have to, that's fine.
she had expressed interest in ad hoc 1, so I have her for ad hoc 1.
Done?
I'll motion.
Thank you.
Second, I need a second, please.
I will second.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Brusalian,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Perrion,
Yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon.
Yes.
Next item, please.
Item 5.2, consideration of state legislation for the Commission on the Status of Women's Legislative Agenda. Item 2A, motion providing direction regarding the list of bills presented.
Chair Burns, members of the commission, I will provide you with a brief introduction and summary of this, and then we can go into bills if you would have any questions. So, as we mentioned, in 2015, the CSW passed a legislative platform. It's included in your report as Exhibit 1. This focuses on women in the workplace, women's health, women in the budget, women in the military and military families, women in post-secondary education, and women's safety. So based on this platform and based on these themes, staff monitors pertinent legislation and provides information to the commission based on proposed legislation as directed by this platform. The CSW may make recommendations to City Council on specific legislative items for their consideration to take appropriate action, and when it's required, the City Council will send letters in support or opposition to any particular bills after receiving your recommendations and passing their own motions. And so since the last meeting, you had 2 items that came up, but a whole bunch of bills have been brought up since then, so staff's had a chance to go through them. And so before you, I believe you have 8 new bills for your consideration, and then there is an update on the 2 bills that the commission took action on at the last meeting. So if you have any questions about any of the bills, I'd be happy to answer them at this time. If you want me to go through them, I can, and at this time, you have a few options. You can, after discussion, if you would like to support all of them, we can do so. If there's some you want to take out, or if there's specific ones only that you want to support, that's fine too. These are just here for your consideration.
I need a clarification on SB 22. It says current law states that the crime lab has to submit evidence in 20 days, but no later than 30 days. It says this bill instead would require law enforcement agencies to either submit sexual assault forensic evidence to a crime lab or ensure that a rapid turnaround DNA program is in place as specified, would require to process the evidence and transmit the evidence. It doesn't really give a time frame. Does the current, is it?
The time frame
So it's a
stays
bit-
relatively the same.
Stays
It's just,
the same.
it firms it up and says you have to do it. Before it was you should do it, and now it's.
So now it imposes a fine on top.
It makes it firmer and it adds money. So this is actually funding to help make that happen.
Got it. Thank you.
And the bills, just so you know, the bills that have to do with police, we talked to the police chief and made sure that our police department supports and agrees with these. And also, we ran them by Cal Chiefs Association, so we want to make sure these are bills that are supported by our police chief and Cal Chiefs as well.
Are there any other questions regarding these bills?
I don't have any.
I do. AB 79, I think it's 8.
Maternal mental
Maternal.
health. Yes, ma'am.
At the end of a year of receiving, this program appears to become privately funded. Is there anywhere that tells us who privately funds?
Chair Burns, to staff's knowledge, it doesn't specify where the private funds will come from. The first year would be covered by private funds, which means there would be no taxpayer dollars spent on it. But I believe in the bill it says that after the pilot program sunsets, in 2025, they would look to see, based on the success of the program, they would look for state funding to continue the program, quite possibly.
Ms. Powers, I'm sorry,
In line of your question, then after that 1 year, if you want to transition into public funds, would that be up for a ballot and a vote? Or it would just automatically then?
Just to clarify, sorry, I misspoke.
go
It's not
into
1 year.
tax
It's-
right.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I misspoke. It goes till 2025, and it will be privately funded. After that, they would seek state funding, which would probably just come from the general fund budget. Currently, there
So
is,
automatically become publicly funded?
pending the governor's budget and approval of the budget. So
Okay.
it could, down the road, be considered, or it could not.
But it would not go up for a vote and a ballot for regular voting?
No.
Okay.
I very much appreciate the summaries that have been provided to us. I was wondering for the future, can we have the actual bill language available somewhere to us for the list that's going to be provided?
They're provided as the exhibits.
All the way in the back?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Perfect, thank you. Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you.
You're okay with that? You see that now?
Yeah.
The changes? I felt terrific. I went through these things. I don't know how anyone else felt about them, but after I'd read one of them over about 7 times, what does this mean? I mean, these are very exciting to read, I thought. Did you not think that they were interesting and exciting and challenging?
Challenging.
Yes, that's the understanding, though.
Yeah.
But I agree with you there. It's a wonderful thing to see
Yes.
the breakdown and how they are changed. If you peep in the back, many of the wording that you don't like up here has been changed in here.
It's very important, especially with law. One word here and there can completely change
Exactly.
the whole meaning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of reading.
I've been reading the summaries.
Are there any other questions for staff?
For the AB 1030, where it states violations, I'm assuming violation of not providing that informational pamphlet would be punishable by citation and an administrative fine. This is AB 1030,
Okay,
Calderon?
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So that, I think, to me, it's a little concerning as far as how much would that fine be? Do we want to be that punitive? I would open this up for discussion as to how you feel about it. I kind of, quite frankly, feel uncomfortable about that.
Commissioner Perry and members of the commission, if I made this, there isn't a fine specifically stated in the bill language. This bill came about as a result of the scandal that broke at USC regarding the gynecologist who was performing the inappropriate pelvic exams. And so it became a matter of women not knowing what exactly is involved with a pelvic exam and what to expect from a gynecologist. So this bill aims to provide education to women. So prior to their first appointment, they are to receive this information, and the information will come from one source, so each doctor is not burdened with providing their own information. Once the state puts out the information, they're just required to go over the information with their patients and make sure that they sign something acknowledging that they're aware of what to expect before they have their first exam.
Thank you for clarifying that. That helps.
Yes.
USC is an insurance is going to be paying billions. Very expensive, that gynecologist.
So this education, this pamphlet, I'm assuming it's just going to be one pamphlet that's standard across
For all.
California.
Yes.
It's just going to go out there.
Yes, Commissioner Perry, and so the Medical Board of California within the Department of Consumer Affairs is going to be working with the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and they are to, if this bill were to pass, they would develop this informational pamphlet by July 1st, 2020, and then there's a period of time that once that becomes available, then by a certain point, physicians and doctors who provide these exams will be required to provide them to their patients prior to their first examination.
And then the funding for this would come from, I didn't catch that.
I don't think it told us who was going to pay for it.
I believe the funding would come from the state
Health Department?
and the health department, and then those would be distributed to doctors.
Okay.
If there are no more questions, may I have a motion on this item?
I'll motion.
Is
Thank
this
you.
for AB 1030 or all of them?
All of them.
This is for all 8 bills to support them as recommended by staff? Okay.
I'll second.
Commissioner Brusalian?
Yes.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Perrion?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmergen?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6, Commissioner staff comments.
I don't have anything.
No, I was just going to ask, do you have any comments? No? Elena?
No.
Happy Mother's Day yesterday, and we will close the meeting now. I have no idea what time it is.
6:24.
Can't see the clock. What time?
6:24.
6:24. Thank you.
Thank you.